Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Nile and Gerry Tea Podcast, a podcast where we drink the MTG tea week after week and then spit it back out to you. And
I,
Jerry,
I got water this week,
you got water this week? I have
but
water.
but we collectively have great tea. So
Oh, we got tea. Here's the thing. Sometimes there's just not any tea brewing. And that's fine because that gives Jerry and I a chance to talk about things that I think really matter. Things that are very important about the ethics of tournament magic. But then some weeks we've got slop, and oh baby, do we got slop, and I love slop. I
I
love it
love
when
so much.
I love the sloppy tea, and we don't have to talk about things that are important and matter and are of more substance. This week we got slop, Jerry. We've got some slop that's got you a bit worked up. We've got some slop that's got me a bit worked up. I'm fucking excited. We talked about cheating in Magic recently, and this week we're gonna talk about shuffling. So we got some juicy slop. But first, we're going to talk about the slop that's really got Jerry fired up here in just a minute. And that is sideboard discourse. Get ready for it. But before that, real
Mm.
quick, just want to say the best way that you can support us at the moment, like, comment, subscribe, engage with this in any way that you can. Really, really appreciate it. Also, if you have questions for Jerry and I, please, you can either send them to my email, nilejoanrivers@gmail.com, or you can comment on this video, reply to any post on Blue Sky, Twitter, whatever. Anything you can do to send a question, we will answer those at the end of the episode each week. Be sure to do that. But Jerry, sideboard discourse. Now, to set the stage for anybody who's not terminally online and also terminally in the magic space, bit of discourse happening at the moment with sideboard guides, and specifically sideboard guides that people sell. And if you are unaware still, when you play competitive magic, you have a sideboard. Some people will do all of your homework for you for the deck that you're playing, figure out what cards you should be taking out, putting in against different matchups, how you should approach the matchups, all these things. And they'll write all of this out for you into a handy little guide. And usually they will publish this guide and sell it on Patreon, Twitter, whatever, for some amount of money. It varies from person to person, guide to guide. And there's been some drama, some tea with someone selling a prowess guide, I believe, for
Is it
25
prowess and
bucks.
standard? Yeah.
Is it prowess and standard, which is the fucking standard deck at the moment? Is it prowess and standard $25 sideboard guide, which some people think is not cool. Not cool to make a sideboard guide and sell it for $25. There are definitely people who think all sideboard guides should be free. And some people do choose, I mean, like a famous example I think is Dom Harvey with his Amulet Titan guide, which is less of a sideboard guide and more of just like a this is how you play one of the most complicated modern decks. And Dom Harvey's thing is like a passion project. Like he's just
Labor
like
of love, I was
it is
gonna
a
say. Yeah.
labor of love, and it's incredible, and it kind of hilariously to me makes it to where no one can ever really sell amulet guides because why would I ever buy one when
Yeah.
I get the Bible for free, Like, but that's like just because like the best amulet player of all time loves it so much that he wanted to pour his heart and soul into this like living document and give it to everyone for free. That is his choice to do. Not everyone does that. In fact, no one else does that. That's a
Not
Dom Harvey special.
not 80,000 words or whatever it is. I'm
No,
sure it's even
it's
more bloated
truly
now.
it's truly unique and beautiful. Shout out Dom Harvey, you beautiful, beautiful soul. So yeah, Jerry, tell us a bit about what's going on and how it's got you feeling.
So I got two main points here. The first is way back in the day, there used to be this phrase, tech wants to be free, as in technology, magic technology. Like when you figure out that Pyroblast is good against blue cards and you use it to win a PTQ or whatever, and then you try to hide that technology so that like only you and your loved ones have it. And people were just like, that's dumb. Isn't magic cooler if like all the people know like what's good? and get to make informed decisions and whatnot. And I mostly do agree with that. However, the second part is in terms of a $25 11,000 words standard sideboarding guide. I used to get paid $1,000 to write those, so I don't know what the $25 thing is. It's just bizarre to me because, granted, $25 for one piece of content is not the same as like $10 or whatever it was for a month of
Mm-hmm.
Star City Games Premium or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they had like 10,000 subs, which got them more information and then facilitated a bunch of different writers and stuff. I think that that system is better than the one we have now, right? Where it's like these writers to some degree are vetted, maybe not vetted by the people that you would want them to be or whatever, but they are vetted to some degree. And it's like the stuff that you are paying for is typically pretty solid information. And you get a lot of it for your $10. A lot of entertainment when you log on to Star City every day at noon Eastern or whatever they update, right? But that's not the world we live in anymore. That sort of thing doesn't exist. A few years ago, I posted a couple different times, I think, on the Bad website about how there are all these Patreons in Magic now. And what someone should do is just get a website together and try to get these people kind of working together to where you can get like more, say I pay $10 per month and it's like I give 10 people $1 and I get all of their information instead of like, oh, well, now I have to
Mm-hmm.
pick and choose like which person, like which
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
30 is it Murktide sideboard guys I want to give money to or whatever. And no one has done that. And I get it. I haven't done it because I'm lazy. I just want it to happen. But
It's a good idea, and I actually have the skills to make it a reality. So I'm gonna edit this part out. No, I'm just kidding.
oh yeah,
Okay.
no, yeah, we gotta save all our grifts, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
No, I
yeah.
think
Tech
I
should
think
not be
grift
free. It should be caged.
yeah, grifting tech does want to be free though.
Sure.
It does. I don't know. Anyway,
Anyways, continue. Yeah.
also like what happened to just labor should be paid for? That's a thing I generally believe in.
Yeah, so that's like the really interesting thing about all of this to me is it's like all labor is skilled labor, which is a thing I very strongly believe. I don't think unskilled labor is a thing that exists. I think all labor should be paid for, at least in the way that we have society set up at the moment. And I think
Yeah, I mean,
this is labor.
if you want to be like, wait a second, people are selling their bodies to pay for their rent and their meals, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. I would agree with you. But I don't think that selling sideboard guides on the internet is like the main offender to that, you know? But maybe you get there at some point. I don't know. I think that if someone has created a piece of content, whatever that is,
Hmm.
if it's, YouTube video, podcast, if it's a book, if
Hmm.
if it's a piece of art or something, like who cares? Like they did this thing, they put a value on it. It's the same thing as if you go to like a farmer's market and they're like, I'm selling a tomato for $100. It's like, okay, well, that's ridiculous. There's some crappier tomatoes down here for like $1 or what. I don't even know how much a tomato costs these days. But if you
It's
don't like
one
the
tomato,
price,
Jerry. What could it cost?
what could it
$10?
be? $100, 3 sideboarding guides. I used to go to the farmer's market every week and sell stuff for my grandparents. I don't know, when I was like 6.
Sure, sure.
I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid.
That was skilled labor. You should have been paid. I would have fought for you, King.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think radicalized me? Like indentured servitude at age 6. It's just, okay, he's selling a sideboard guy for $25. You don't want to pay $25. Okay, move on. If
It
if no one buys it, they'll lower the price or add some value adds or whatever, or next time his price will be lower or where like the market decides. It does, straight
right,
up.
yeah. That's the thing to me is like it's so opt-in. It is so opt-in. Like we do this podcast every week. We do it for free. Also, a little bit of a labor of love. I mean, I honestly don't know if we'll keep what I'm about to say in, but we've had the discussions of eventually we gotta figure out some way to monetize this. Like we've only got so much love in us eventually, like, it is a lot of our time, but it is a labor of
Speak
love.
for yourself. I'm
Fuck
a
up.
bottomless font of love.
Shut the fuck up. I'm releasing the Jerry.Google Doc tomorrow.
Oh no.
It is time, the
Sell it for
reaping.
25 bucks at least.
Oh,
Goddamn.
genius, genius, that'd be so good. But yeah, we do this podcast. We could be like every episode's $10. You know, give it up, little man. Our
No,
viewership
you
would go down dramatically overnight.
Niall, you put the actual tea behind the paywall on the special Patreon episode. That's what you do.
Ooh, the call out episode, the call out episode. But yeah, like we could do that, and then it is not like less ethical for us to do so, right? It's just people won't listen to it. Like some people will, and those people, we love you the most. I want you to know right now.
Yeah.
But most people won't, and that's fine. And that's
That that's the market, you
that's just
know?
how that shit works. Like, if you don't, I'm not buying this guy's Is It Prowess guide, not because I don't think it's valuable, but because I'm not really playing standard right now. So it's like, it's literally not valuable to me because standard content does not have value to me at the moment. If I was about to play a standard RCQ and I was playing prowess, I would throw down on that. I would throw down on 11,000 words about this deck so I could skip some of the homework. I could read the spark notes.
Do you know the person who wrote the guide?
No.
So I was not aware that this was happening, but
Mhm.
I did pop into my Discord briefly. As
Mhm.
folks can maybe see, I am not at home, or they could probably hear the difference because I'm on a much worse microphone. But I was traveling today, and in the middle of this, I saw I had a notification, checked in. Someone was like, "Hey, what should I be doing in standard? Like, where should I go for like, is it prowess stuff?" And just off the cuff, I was like, I trust Mate. And then I linked them to Mate's deck list. Mate
Mhm.
Zalakai is the person who wrote the guide that ended
Mhm.
up spawning this thing. I didn't know that any of that was happening. He is
Mhm.
just a longtime friend of mine and had messaged me
Yeah.
briefly about like, hey, I've been playing a lot of standard. We put a team together. We did not do well or super well in the main event, but we did really well over the course of the weekend. And then I started poking around a little bit more, and it's like, oh yeah, like he went 6-2 in the open they had on Sunday. Like two of his teammates made top eight. They had the Drake Hatcher kind of like technology or whatever that not a lot of other people had. And I just remember looking at his deck and thinking that it seemed like very smart, very well constructed, and everything. And because I've known him for 15 years, I also know that he's very smart, and he's telling me that he actually like buckled down and put a bunch of work in. I trust Mate. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I'm playing Hartford in a couple weeks, and I might buy it. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so this is the other thing about all of this for me is I think the big problem with sideboard guides in the current Magic social climate, I guess, is I think Magic players by and large are really bad at assessing skill and knowledge. And I think the way that they by default assess these things are tournament results, which is a insane way to assess these things in our game of variance. So if me and you play the same event and I don't know shit about the deck and you have been studying like crazy and you really fucking know it and you run ice cold over the weekend and just like don't quite make it. And I run hotter than the sun and I win the whole thing. If both of us at the end of that weekend post our sideboard guides for the same price, I mean, let's for a second pretend like you're not Jerry Thompson, but like if these two people, these two nameless people post their sideboard guides at the same time, guess who's going to do way, way better, right?
Yeah,
Like, guess the person who wins, even though they are way worse and they know a lot less and they like all this stuff, people are gonna see that and be like, "Oh, well, they won the tournament, so they are like the person who knows this deck."
yeah.
And
Nile, bigger bank account, better person. Like,
yeah, bigger bank account, better person, better, you know, better top deck, better person. So like,
You're probably mana weaving the whole time, you know.
oh god, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting ahead
No,
of ourselves.
I am.
I
I
was
am. I
pile
am. I'm sorry.
shuffling between every game.
Yeah. I'm
Uh,
sorry. I couldn't. I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist.
yeah. But yeah, so like, and you see it happen all the time, right? Someone wins an event, they post their sideboard guide, they make a lot of money on their sideboard guide. Good for them, get the bag, whatever. But what I also notice as a deeply enfranchised player is I know personally dozens and dozens of people who are like fucking killers at this game or really really know a certain deck and just are like a wealth of knowledge about these particular things, but no one really takes that seriously until they win something and then they're like, "Oh, well, yeah, like obviously that person's really really good." You know?
Yeah. I'm. It's also like you have to win and also be good at promotion.
Mhm.
And in order to stay under the radar, you have to have been bad at self promotion before, because there are plenty of people who do not win, but who are good at self promotion
Yeah,
and
yeah,
are
yeah.
able to sell things. And
Yeah.
it's just like, what is the motivation, or like what should be driving your decision to buy any individual piece of information from someone? Yeah, in my mind, it should be like, does this person know what the hell they're talking about?
Yeah.
But it does not come down to that. It more Twitter followers, better person, you know, like that's kind of what it comes down to. And Mate is a person whose first Pro Tour top eight was, I think, in Berlin with elves, like in extended. And I don't know, like again, like he is a person who I trust with an opinion, especially because I know that he is a person who does not just like throw out strong opinions
Yeah, yeah,
unless
yeah.
they are like well researched, right? So for him to be like, "Oh, I have this thing that is worth selling," it kind of makes me want to buy it.
Yeah. No, that's very powerful, you know. I think there's just like there's a lot of merit to all that, and also like you said, you can just not buy it. It's actually easier to not buy it than to buy it.
True,
You don't
by
have
a
to.
lot, and
No
then you can
one's
also not post about it.
Yeah, you don't have to buy it, you don't have to post about it. You can even if you want to go crazy, you can block him. You know, you could be like, I don't like people that sell sideboard guides. Never see me again. That's fine.
That's
Like
honestly a good idea. I had not considered that one.
blocking your longtime friend Mateo,
Well, I just
or just blocking
I kind
people in
of
general.
I kind of blocked everyone on Twitter by just not going to the website.
Oh,
So
sure. Yeah, I really, I'm pretty much on Twitter anymore. I post about this once a week. I post that
yeah,
we've made a new episode, and then I'm off it for another week.
yeah, like
Uh,
that week, if I log on to Twitter, I will retweet you and then probably log
yeah.
off.
I block people like crazy though. I be blocking constantly.
Yo, you want to see who has more people blocked? I'm actually curious.
Can you tell how many people you have blocked?
Yeah, if you go, because you can like individually unblock people. It's somewhere in settings.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna find this out.
Granted, I've been Twittering for longer, right?
Yeah,
But
and you've got a bigger following, so like it's
I feel like whenever I have done this with anyone, my number has been way bigger, and we did just establish bigger number, better person. So
yeah. Your post content, mute and block, blocked accounts, all. I mean, I see the all list.
no, okay.
It
So I am in. You're in the mutant block thing.
yeah. Hold on. No, see, mine says like mine doesn't have numbers.
What? Can you
Hold
click on it?
on. Yeah, I can click on it, but then well, I don't want to like show this on
Yeah,
camera.
yeah. It'd be like
Hold on.
me.
Yeah.
I'm the.
Top of the list. Hold on. Let me see. Maybe from the computer. Hold on. I'm gonna have to
Are
edit
you
so
are you
much more.
iOS or Android? You're Android, right?
I'm Android. I'm Android built.
Yeah, I'm iOS. Okay, so this tells me
Your
I have
account.
4,419 blocked accounts.
Okay, well, there's no fucking way I'm close to that. So hold on. Privacy and safety, mute and block. Oh my god, show me. How
Just tell me
many
how good of a person I am.
people
How big is my number?
do I have blocked on Twitter? Look. Service was terminated. I don't know. I think you have to have an iPhone.
That's very silly.
Search
I
tab,
feel like they don't recognize how much joy this
power.
has given me. No, just
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
that number go up and become massive. And this is manual. This is again skilled labor that I've been performing for free to benefit myself, but 4,400 people individually blocked. This was not, I did not use any sort of like
Any like
tools or
lists or
anything.
like mass blockers. That's just
Yeah,
4,400 clicks. That's so good.
it's honestly comparable to Dom's amulet sideboard guide. It's
Yeah,
15 years
you
labor of
should have
love.
gotten $25 for this. Yeah, I mean, I'm just like scrolling through. I mean, honestly, like, and there is a lot here. Oh, I know how I can do it. I know how I can do it. I've scrolled all the way to the bottom. I search the word blocked. I control F it, and then I see
Oh, how many
how many.
results?
Oh, it
Man.
doesn't keep them all in the page. What if I zoom way out?
Oh my god. There's
This
no way
is
you have 4,000 though.
No, it's definitely not 4,000, but it is. I think 400 is definitely in the realm of where we are. It's like impossible to say. Even if I scroll all the way out, it just doesn't keep them all in page long enough. I think it's probably closer to like 400 than anything. That's gonna be about right. That's just gonna be my guesstimate. That's the Nile guesstimate.
You've only been
I've
on
only been on
Twitter
it
for
for
a few
3
years though.
years. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I only have like 7,000 followers or something. So like
Oh, but
I
there are
just
so many users on Twitter. Just
that's
block any of
true.
them at any time.
That's true. I do be interacting a lot. I do. Well, not on Twitter. Well,
I don't know.
you'll go down as king for that
Twitter
because
to
I'm not going to be
me,
blocking more.
Twitter to me was like playing Duck Hunt or whatever. I'm just like scrolling. I'm like, pew, you're gone. Like
Yeah,
that.
I did
That
a
was
lot
my
of that,
game.
but I also did a lot of like fucking with people, and I think that's the problem. I played with a lot of my food, and then sometimes I'd get
Yeah.
bored and like forget to block them. So like there's a lot of catch and
Understandable.
release, a lot of catch and release. Uh,
Respect though. I do respect that.
but yeah, it's just like kind of silly with the sideboard guide thing. I think to think that it's not cool for people to just like charge whatever they want. Like I don't know. Even if someone came out tomorrow and was like, "Here's my $100 sideboard guide," it's like, okay, I don't think anyone's gonna buy it, but like you can make it, like
Yeah.
whatever,
I mean,
right? Like
so if all I want to do was make money, I could probably find ways to do that. I could invent a Patreon tier that's like $100 a month and say that it's for something silly where Jerry will be your best friend always. I'm just on call 24/7 or what. Or I could
you're telling people about our financial arrangement where I send you $100 a month for you to be my friend.
I feel like I'd be a pretty bad best friend if all we did every week was just record a podcast. I don't know. Niall, maybe we need to have a talk. Maybe
Oh no,
you're
my self
I don't know,
worth.
kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here. I don't know. This is
Oh
maybe
no.
not what a good foundation for a best friendship should look like. Everyone has their own wants and needs and everything, right? But I'm
When the
just
guy you're
like,
paying to be your friend tells you maybe you need to reevaluate your
yeah,
life.
you need better friends. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, keep going. Sorry.
I could say like, oh, I'm gonna finally release the MTG burn book. Just like every piece of dirt I got on everyone. It's again maybe $100. I'm trying to get more volume, right? And then it's just like you open it, it just says like I don't like people who wear MAGA hats or whatever. And that's it. You know.
Yeah.
But like
You can make
I
a
would
lot of
know.
money once.
Yeah. There was like a running joke for a while where it was like who could borrow the most legacy decks for one tournament and then fade away into obscurity, like that kind of thing. That was like the very very joking, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like MTG retirement plan is just like get enough goodwill together and then you just borrow like 10 legacy decks and ride off into the sunset.
That's really funny. Yeah, looking for looking for 20 tabernacles for this weekend.
Yeah.
Looking for 100 underground seas for the event this weekend. Oh, that's a really good bit. The next time there's a legacy tournament, I'm gonna be posting that.
Don't do that.
It was very obviously a joke if I'm posting looking for 100 underground seas for the event this weekend. Like, come on. People will be like, I've got underground seas, and I'll be like, it's a joke. Do not give me an underground sea, please.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I need roughly 100 underground seas. And they're like,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I got 3. Is that enough? And you're just
I've
like,
got-
all right,
I've got
fine. I
3.
guess we're just really doing this thing, huh?
That's gonna be the thing that turns me.
You just got all these people offering you like $800 lands. I mean,
It's just a joke, unless
Unless, yeah, I mean, 11,000 words, weeks of prep, more than one person because he had a team involved. You're telling me $25 is too much for this? It took me oftentimes a day and a half to write an article, and a lot of my articles had like 2 to 3,000 words, and
Mhm.
probably were not as dense or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just I don't understand. Like, let him charge whatever he wants to charge. If no one buys it, then you did a bunch of work for nothing. Like, who cares?
Yeah, totally.
Pack of
It's just
sleeves cost $15.
yeah, it's a really weird place to draw the line, at like in the luxury competitive hobby where it's like notoriously expensive and you are like forced into spending money on it a lot. And you do have to buy things like sleeves constantly. To draw the
Convention center
line,
cheeseburgers.
yeah, of course, which you have to have. To draw the line at like guide you do not have to buy is weird. It's weird. To like to be like bitching about that instead of bitching about all the parts of it that are like pretty legitimate to bitch about. It's just a little odd. It's just a little odd.
I think that it is truly heinous that Magic is now in a place where people are like hawking information via Twitter in order to make peanuts
Mhm.
versus this like vast, robust ecosystem we had before, where if you did well enough at an event, then you would have like four websites emailing you immediately after the tournament's over, like, hey, do you want to write for us? Like, we'll pay you a couple $100, blah blah blah.
Well, that's the thing of like when Magic players are really bad at assessing that themselves, and no one's really doing the work of assessing it for them, and there's not some easy way for them to accomplish that. Like with the previous system, it's like you're already like it feels free to you, right? Because like you're paying this like subscription fee. And now Jerry Thompson wins his first tournament, and someone's like, "Hey, Jerry, do you want to write us an article about your deck for $200?" And Jerry says, "Yippee, I sure would." And then you write it, and to them, it's like, "Oh, new article from new guy. I'll check it out. It's part of my subscription." And they're like, "Hey, this Jerry guy kind of knows what the fuck he's on about." And then they read it, and then the next thing you write, they read it, and then now you don't have to win tournaments anymore because you've like proven yourself to them in a way that felt free to them, even though it literally wasn't free to them. And we just don't really have that. And actually, as soon as this call's over, I'm going to go to buildmywebsite.com and build my website to accomplish this.
There is actually a person who is vetting these sideboarding guides. I don't know if you've seen this.
Is there? Oh, are you talking about Min?
Min. Yeah.
Isn't Min vetting like coaching specifically? Like,
I mean, maybe he is now.
oh, but was he
Because
also
yeah, I guess
doing?
the coaching stuff is
It's yeah, that's all. That's a
not
different
not not
episode.
coaching in general, but just like pay us $100. You can hang out in our Discord. Pay us $100 to sit in a Discord call with 30 other people while I just say words or whatever. It's like I'm teaching a class. Like,
That's a whole other episode. That's like
yeah.
we can talk about the coaching stuff.
So Min has retweeted Matei's post, but has not specifically given it a grade yet.
I'll have to talk to Min. Maybe Min's like exactly the guy I need for this website I'm going to build before anyone else has a chance to.
Oh yeah, no, he should be your talent scout for sure.
Yeah. I should pay him directly. He should be on staff.
Well, I mean, you could pay him, but he'd probably do it for free. So like, why would you pay him? I mean,
You're so right.
right?
I believe in skilled labor, except like this job. I mean, obviously the thing Min's doing that's unskilled. Like anyone could do that. That's just I mean,
Well,
you're just reading
it
tweets.
is
It's not a big
skilled and
deal.
it's labor, but it's a labor of love. I mean, if he wants to do it for free, who are we to get in the way of that?
Yeah, who are we to stop love?
Yeah, you maybe ruin a good thing if you inject this thing that is
Oh,
made
true.
with
I don't want to
love
turn his
with
hobby
money.
into a jobby. Yeah, like
Yeah, no one wants that. Men would hate
men would hate that. Men, I've edited out all the parts where I say I'm going to pay you. I'll be in the
that.
contract.
Never happened.
Yeah. No, that is a really good idea though. And honestly, Jerry, I'm not joking. I might make this. Like I think I might be one of the most uniquely well-positioned people to make this because I have the skills, I have the means, and I happen to have the network of people who could and would write for it. and I would
Counterpoint.
pay them. What?
Counterpoint. How much bandwidth do you have? And be realistic.
Enough. I genuinely think
Okay.
enough. Like I'm honestly right now, Jerry, I'm in my like not working two jobs era. I've been like going to work like a normal like 40-hour week. Don't give me that look just because we're also doing our podcast right now outside of my work hours, which I will then edit and spend a lot of time on. I mean, other than this, like it's not a lot. Like I've been like socializing. I've been like going places.
Oh,
I've gone to like piano recitals. I've played my own piano. Like I'm doing shit, Jerry. I'm like living a whole life, and I would love to lose some of that to do this.
I would love to go back to just working all the time.
Yeah,
Labor of love.
labor of love. I think I'm gonna make this. I think I'm gonna. I'm not fucking around. Like I'm gonna be reaching out to some people. But yeah, sideboards.
Figure out
Whatever.
a good plan first. That is the tough thing to me. Because unlike something like Star City, which had people writing weekly on a schedule and you dictated that, and I think that that is a good thing to some degree, but like some of these people are not active all the time, you
Mhm.
know? And it's like they may post a guide like once every month or whatever. So like you are taking in, say, X amount of dollars for, people to get access to everything, presumably. And it's just like, well, then how do you divvy up which funds go where? That was always the difficult thing for me.
Well, I think you just say, "Hey, Jerry, do you want to write an article about this deck you've been playing? Here's X amount of dollars." Hey, Nicole Tipple, do you want to write an article about this deck you've been playing? Here's X amount of dollars. And then I just get those dollars back from the people that pay me monthly. And as people pay me
Okay.
more, I start to more so be like, "Hey, Jerry, you want to write an article for even more dollars or more articles or, like whatever." Is that not just like how it works?
Yes. I think we're kind of talking about two different things. But
We'll talk.
well,
We'll talk after. We'll talk after. We'll talk after.
yeah. I've thought about this a decent amount. So
Okay, I will love to hear your thoughts because I'm not fucking around. I'm gonna make this. Anyways, sideboard guides,
I'll consult for
whatever.
free. Labor of love.
Flavor of love. That's my guy.
Love working for free.
I know you do, buddy. I know you do.
Yeah.
Uh, sideboard guys, we've all got them, and whatever. Like they're here to stay. Buy them if you want them. Don't if you don't. That's the sideboard guide discourse. I think, unless you have more words on it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now, other discourse, my discourse, the discourse that got me all riled up. And this is a classic one. This is one we see over and over again in Magic. Shuffle discourse. Okay. Now, this started because I saw a tweet from Winnie that was just repeating the words pile shuffling does not randomize your deck, which is true. I quote tweeted it because I was like, obviously this is true, but I thought maybe something had happened. Are you gonna start shuffling?
I have a deck. I could just tilt the camera down.
Yeah,
I could just start playing
you
right
just
here.
ASMR shuffle while I talk about it. But yeah, I thought maybe someone was like pile shuffling at the like European RC or whatever, and no, it was just like a thing of like it was just the time for the discourse to reemerge. But I made this video. I made this TikTok. I tried to post it to other platforms, but it was like a 3-minute video. It just like didn't work. I made this TikTok where I made what I think is like a pretty good visualization of why pile shuffling is not randomization, where I had a deck of 60 cards, right? But I had used 10 different sleeves in the deck. So every pile of 6 cards was like a different color sleeve. Okay.
I hope 10 of them were the ones where you half snipped.
That would have been so good. I should have done that. That would have been a great
Just for
callback.
the callback.
Oh, you're genius. I gotta start running my fucking TikToks by you.
Do it for
So
free.
I
You
know
know.
you will. I know you will. So, I pile shuffled into 6 piles. And so it'd be like all the red cards, and then all the blue cards, and then all the green cards, and so on and so forth. And then I illustrated how, like, look, every individual pile is the exact same. It's like red, blue, green, yellow, whatever. And B, all stacked together, it's in exactly the same order, right? Like it's perfect. And the real kicker is we can reverse this so easily. And so I just do it backwards, And now we're back to our original deck of everything stacked up. And then I was like, versus, we just mash shuffle, and I just do like a few like pretty loosey goosey mash shuffles. And obviously at that point, it's a randomized deck. and I'm able to like show that, and like the colors are just like chaotic and all this stuff. And I just explain how like you're not actually randomizing anything when you do the pile shuffle. And I got so many comments on this stupid fucking video where people there's different like kind of categories of them. One, it's people telling me that I just need to pile shuffle differently. It's a lot of people were like, that's because you're supposed to do 7 piles, not 6.
Yeah,
I
because
replied,
that's what people
yeah,
do in real life. That's
yeah.
literally everyone who pile
They think
shuffles
it's
in
they
front of
think
me
it's
is doing 6.
they think it's but they think it's they genuinely think it's different. And I'm like, I replied to one of them before I was like, you're all a lost cause. Where I was like, I need you to just imagine that I had done 7 instead of 6. And then imagine I reversed it just like I did in the video. How do you think that goes down? Even if it's like red, 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 blue, 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 green, green. Like even if it's like that, sure, the piles are going to look a little different at the end, but it's still going to reverse exactly the same.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. Like split it into however many piles you want. It doesn't fucking matter. Another thing that people told me was, oh, well, that's because you're doing your piles in order. No one does that. You need to do random where you put the cards in your piles. And it's like, the fuck is the point? Right?
Yeah,
Like,
again, no one who pile shuffles does that
no, no,
randomly.
no, they don't. But even if they
And also
did,
at that point, why are you pile shuffling instead of just side deciding?
exactly. And then a ton of people, this one was really the funny one. A ton of people telling me I only pile shuffle to declump my lands. And I was just like, that's cheating. What you're describing is cheating. And the thing is, it's either cheating, it's either is declumping your lands, mana weaving, or it has no effect on the end randomization of the deck, in which case, why are you doing it?
Yeah. The funny thing is like I'm doing this to declump my lands. Operates from the premise that at some point my lands always become clumped. So
Yeah.
what if they are not clumped, and then the process of doing this then it clumps your lands? You ever think about that? Huh?
Well,
Pile shuffling actually clumps your lands.
I would love to get that going around.
I just want to like melt their brains.
Well, the
You
thing is,
know?
it also suggests that clumped lands is not random, and clumped
Well,
lands can be a randomization thing.
Well, yeah, but they never said it wasn't random. They just said they didn't
They don't
want it.
like it. They don't want it. Yeah.
They don't want it, which is a true thing. And then
Sure,
you're
I don't
like,
either, to be fair.
and if you led with, oh hey, I hate people who cheat at Magic, and then also here's this thing why pile shuffling is stupid. They're like, yeah, I agree with the first point. Fuck cheaters, but like also I just want to declump my lands. You're like, you're cheating.
Yeah.
You're literally
Yeah.
cheating.
Yeah. Well, like, it's just if it affects the end state of the variance of your deck, it's cheating. Like, it's such a simple concept to me.
The funniest thing to me is how people are like, yes, I do pile shuffle and I do it to declump. And I know that is mana weaving, but then I shuffle vigorously afterwards. And
And
it's
what's
like,
the
okay, why
point?
do the first part?
Yeah, though there were
Why?
so many of those.
Because it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I did everything I could or whatever. Like I got agency because I pile shuffled and did like this mini cheat beforehand.
It's ritualistic is what it is. It is like it's the same as how I feel people who are really into sports get, where they're like, "Oh, every time my team plays, I have to like wear these special socks because I wore them once and we won real good. So now like I always wear my special socks." And it's like, "Okay, that's like your little ritual. Obviously, your special socks. Are we about to get a Jerry sock shot?"
I was gonna, but I didn't want to show feet, so I took the sock off. These are my favorite socks.
Oh, little audio listeners, I'm going to describe the sock to you. It is an adorable little Snorlax sock. I
He's so
want
cute.
I want
He's
you to
so
know,
cute.
Jerry, my best friend in the whole world, her name is Pilnock. She watches every single one of these religiously. She is obsessed with Snorlax. She's going to fucking freak out. I'm not going to tell her. I'm not going to tell her ahead of time, I'm excited for the text I'm gonna get.
Oh yeah, well, my best friend doesn't watch this ever, might not
Hates
even know
you.
that I
Hates
do it,
hates you.
maybe, but he called me for like the first time in a month and a half.
Yeah.
I picked up the phone. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm in Charlottesville." He said, "Oh, cool. Is there another protest there that you're attending?" That's my best friend. Anyway, it was very funny.
That is funny. That's good.
He is a big fan of Snorlax, and most of the gifts that I get him now, they're either Snorlax or Uncle Iroh. That's the other one.
Sure. But yeah, it is ritualistic. It is a
Yeah,
little ritual that just makes them feel better. And there's no actual like math or logic or anything that supports the things that they are doing. And if it did, it would be cheating. Like the way they're describing it.
yeah,
If it did work, it's cheating. Like if it did, it's cheating. If it didn't, it's a waste of time. But Magic players are kind of like a little bit obsessed with these little rituals. And it's not just pile shufflers and it's not just commander players. In fact, I think one of the biggest kind of offenders, I guess, of having this like superstitious, almost like thought process and approach to Magic is competitive players, especially when it comes to things like deck selection and specifically card selection. Like, there's this recency bias that I feel occurs anytime people play in a tournament, because like I know you and I are kind of similarly minded when it comes to Magic tournaments and like the preparation for them, where I do not play Magic the day before a tournament. Like, even if I get there, I'm just vibing. A lot of times, I'm just vibing with you because you're also
yeah.
like the only other Magic player there who's just vibing. Like
I
everyone else is
mean,
like, I need
the
to
last
jam 1,000 games against my buddy.
yeah, the last time I think we hung out was in Portland, right? And
Yeah. It was in Portland while
we
everyone else was jamming next to us.
yeah, we're both just hanging out, watching everyone else go through their rituals. We're just chilling, and then it's
Yeah.
just like, look at all these homies with their rituals. Isn't that kind of funny?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, my philosophy with it is basically just like at this point, I've learned what I'm going to learn. And I am worried that if I play now, I'm going to like get in my own head about stuff. And so I would rather just like trust that I've done my work to prepare diligently enough. And I'm going to take a day to like really rest and just take it easy. And then tomorrow, I'm going to come in, clear eyes, fucking strong heart, whatever the fuck it is, can't lose.
Clear eyes, full
Yeah.
heart,
Full
can't
heart.
lose.
Can't lose. I knew it
Full
was
heart.
something heart. But what'll happen is people will the night before a tournament, they're like, Jerry, I gotta play the Titan matchup.
Oh
Play
no,
me.
let's be real. It doesn't even go that far. It's like, hey, you're a warm body and you have leaved magic cards. Play them against each other. It's
It's
not even
true.
like, oh,
It's
I'm
yeah,
I'm setting out to learn this specific thing.
I gave it way too much intention. It is just like, oh hey Jerry, you wanna jam? And then you sit
And I'm
down with
like, I am
whatever
playing
deck you have.
five-color Goryo's Vengeance, a
Yeah.
thing that is very much not real,
Yeah.
and then I'll play and I'll beat the crap out of them. And
Yeah.
then they'll add like 5 graveyard hate cards to their deck because they're like, this Goryo's deck is insane. And it's
Yeah.
like, no, I'm just really good, or you're bad, or some combination.
Right. Or this
And
deck is just so
and my thing
strange
is
that you
not
don't know
real.
what matters. Yeah. Like it just doesn't it's just not real. And so they will, they'll do this little ritual. They'll play their friend. They'll decide that something is really important that isn't really important. They will make last minute changes to their deck, to their sideboard, to their deck selection, even. They'll make these huge sweeping changes, or even just like to their approach, Like they'll be like, oh, this is what matters in this matchup now. Like, I'm going to change how I do everything. They make all these changes, and then, you go the next day, you don't see 5-color Goryo's Vengeance a single time. You have 5 blank pieces of paper in your sideboard. And it's just, you could have just used the 5 things that you knew the day prior were good. Like, you'd spent all this time working on your deck. You knew they were good. You knew they were like gonna line up well. And then all day long, you're like, oh, it would have been fucking nice to have those in here.
Yeah, would have been nice to have literally anything.
Yeah, it would have been nice
Uh,
to have a useful cardboard.
it's interesting because I've run afoul of this in like every direction imaginable. Where there was a kid who we used to travel with who at the time was around like 14 to 16, somewhere in that range. I think at this time he was 15. And we're staying with him for an extended pro tour. And he shows up with this reanimator deck after a bunch of the stuff that I thought was very important to the deck had rotated. And so now instead of playing like Entomb to find specific good reanimator targets, he's now just playing 4 Putrid Imps, 4 Acroma Angel of Wrath, 4 Rorik's Bladewing. And you're just like, I just get a 6-power haster every time. And I'm just like, that's silly. Like, to me, it was like 2006 Copium or whatever. And it was just like, whatever, play me. And we played, and he beat the crap out of me repeatedly. And a lot of things could have happened, right? I could have been like, oh, this is the nuts. I had no idea. I need to prepare for this more. But I was like, nah, he's just really good.
Yeah.
And I did like my own kind of like reverse copium where I was like, surely my green-black Birds of Paradise, Yavimaya Elder, Obstinate Bailoff, or not even Obstinate Bailoff. We didn't have it so good. We had Ravenous Bailoff. Way worse. Like Pernicious Deed deck. Like it will be fine. Surely this is a powerful deck to bring to this tournament. It was not. But I feel like I was not reactionary enough to be like, yo, your deck is the nuts. I should also play it. Who has 4 copies of Acroma? He top 8 at the Pro Tour.
Yeah, that's amazing.
His deck was legitimately good. And like I had it there that night, and I could have done a lot with that. And then certainly after that, it could mean that like anytime I get beat the night before a tournament, I could then think that it is the nuts or whatever. But perhaps to my detriment, I have been too like logical, throughout the entirety of my career. It's like these things do not affect me, and because they don't, it's just like why engage in them? I feel like people just want the high that they get from like playing the night before a tournament and like getting their ass kicked and changing their deck by 10 cards, and then maybe that allows them to do the sort of like pre-cope thing where it's like, well, I got beat up, but like that's because I didn't play against 5-color Gorios like I thought it was going to be all over the place.
Yeah. That deck's crazy.
It's so good. Why didn't anyone play it?
Yeah, when Jerry Thompson played it against me, it was really strong. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it is copium, and it is, it's ritualistic and it's superstitious. To me, it is very like similar. Like it is a very similar camp. The person who is like making a sort of vibes-based sideboard change last minute because of these last minute games they played against their friend that were like just kind of off the cuff. That is like basically the same as the person who is like pile shuffling make me feel good.
Yeah, I
It's
feel
the same.
like I don't know. I feel like vibes based is like a positive thing, and you're using it in like a derogatory way. And I do a lot of things vibes based.
Yeah,
So
but you do it like it is your intention to do it vibes based, and that's what makes it vibes based. But whenever it is, thank you. Whenever it is a last minute, like hectic, frantic, like it just feels wrong, like
yeah, the vibes in that scenario are you're just a mess. Like
yeah.
that's the only thing that's happening.
The vibe is go to therapy. The vibe is sort your life out before you play this Magic tournament.
Okay, quick story. Can I tell a quick story?
Yeah, of course. That's the whole point of the podcast.
I played some RCQs last weekend. Round 1, I'm playing next to this person who I don't know at all. Never heard of before, but I went to my friend's house at one point and we went to a tournament in his area. And one of the first things he said to me was like, I hope that this guy is not there. I hate this guy. And therefore, now I hate this guy. That's just how it works. Transitive property or something.
Oh, if my friend hates a person, I hate that person twice as much.
Yeah. So I've never exchanged words with this person, but like, first of all, that person was there, did make my friend's experience worse. And then that person started coming to my neck of the woods. And then I sit next to this person and I finished my match, and a really fortunate matchup for me. My opponent just loses, has no shot, and also was like stuck on 2 lands. Like their draw was not particularly good in one of the games. And I'm kind of chatting with them, and this person leans over and just immediately like lays into my opponent. And it's just like, why'd you play game 2 that way? Like, why were you so aggressive? Da, da, da. And the first thing that ran through my mind was, I watched your match for 3 seconds. You missed an Orcish Bowmaster trigger, which was like the only thing that happened in that 3 seconds was your opponent was like, I'll draw a card, and you're like, cool. And then you just like looked away. And my first thought was just like, get your own house in order first, you know?
Take the plank of wood out of your own eye before you're worried about the fleck of sawdust in my opponent's eye.
Yeah, I don't understand.
It's crazy. Yeah, that is I mean that is so fucking every competitive Magic player though, to just be like, I can't top 8 an RCQ, but I can tell you why you can't top 8 an RCQ. You know, like I can tell
Yeah.
you I can't identify a single thing wrong with any of my play, but I can tell you all the ways that you're fucking this up.
See, I do that, but I also know a lot of the mistakes that I am making. Like
Well, yeah,
I
that's the
understand my
big
shortcomings
difference.
first, you
That
know?
is the
But
big difference, is like you are cognizant of yours and theirs, whereas they are like looking for yours so they can ignore their own.
yeah.
I think that's and also though, like, you observe other people's fuck ups and you just like don't tell them. You know, like you do not feel compelled to like tell everyone how they're misplaying.
No, I mean, that is true. And it's not that I don't want to tell them, because I do.
I know you
Variety of
do, buddy. I
reasons,
know you do,
depending
buddy.
on the person. And yeah, it just so happens that when you offer that, people tend to not be very receptive to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is regardless of me trying to temper it and make it not accusatory and whatnot, and just be like, hey, would you like some friendly advice? And then they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. And you're like, oh hey, I think you could have maybe approached this thing a little bit better. And then they're just like, how dare you, you're the worst person
Yeah, they get
ever.
really defensive really fast, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, because of the rule zero stuff discussion that we were having about, do you want to have this conversation or not? I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
maybe you would, and then yeah, it turns out you didn't.
Yeah, yeah. No.
They don't. They lie to you.
They do not want it. Unless I think if they ask for it first, it's a little different. You know, like
It is.
if they are like, "Hey,"
Basically doesn't happen.
it basically I've done it a bunch of times. I've done it so many times where I've been like, "Hey, you kicked my ass just now like really good." And it was you kicked my ass in such a way that I know I got skill diffed. Which cool, bravo, but also like, is there anything you observed that I did that you're like
And they're like,
took advantage of?
labor should be paid. I don't work for free. Sub to my Patreon.
Well, one of the funniest times that I think it ever happened to me is I played against Claire Reinhardt in the VML.
Claire's dope.
And yeah, this was before I knew anything about Claire. This was one of my first matches of competitive Magic, like starting like 3 years ago when I was like first getting back into it. No idea who Claire was. I don't think Claire had even been on the Pro Tour yet. Like, I don't think she had qualified at this point.
Entirely
So
possible, but everyone knew.
I didn't, because I didn't know
Yeah.
who the fuck she was. You
Right.
know, I had people like in my circles who were like, "Oh, Claire's really good," and I was like, "Okay." But I played her. It was standard, obviously, because of the VML. She fucking cleans me, like clears me so fucking easy. And it was a thing where I was like, "Well, I just got skill diffed for sure." And so I messaged her on Discord after, and I was like, "Hey, you just like skill diffed me. Like you just skill diffed the shit out of me." Actually, I bet I have these messages still.
Likely, yeah.
I want to see if I can find it.
Claire's just like, yeah, you did, lol. It's like,
Ready to game, sending you a challenge now. Sounds good. Good luck, have fun, good games. GG's. Thank you, you too. Okay, this is 11/23/2022, 3:16 p.m. Hey, I feel like I got super outplayed, especially in that second game. Do you have any advice for me as far as my gameplay goes? I'm trying to analyze my mistakes and grow from them and all that. No big deal if you don't have any thoughts, though. I can just tell you're a lot better at this than me, lol. And then after that, I put in parentheses, feel free to be brutally honest, by the way. And I really love.
I would be like, this is a setup. No chance in that, because that's like the perfect way to approach it if you're to ever come to me.
To approach a setup?
I'd be like, this is too good to be true.
Oh, sure. This is just how I am, Jerry. This is just like who I am inside. But this was Claire's response. She had a thing where she was like, I'm not exactly sure what your hand was game 2. I probably would have thought about leaving the sleeper back when it was a 3/3 and forcing me to respect the activation. Basically, just put the burden on me to act, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, yeah, I realized that was a mistake about 3 seconds after sending it in. And then she goes, other than that one, I'm not really currently well versed enough in standard to have any big thoughts. And I think that is so baller to be like, hey, you just skill diffed me. What can I do better? And be like, I don't really know this format.
Yeah.
Just be like, I don't fucking know. I did just skill diff you.
I
Play your
skill
cards better.
diffed you, but it was literally just my intuition.
Yeah,
That
like
skill
I
diffed
just
you.
like I don't even really know what I'm doing with this format. I know it's the only one that you play at the moment, but
Yeah. But
it
my
was sick.
autopilot while I was like 7 tabbing to defeat you, and
It was so good, dude. That's when I was like, this is a bad bitch. And now like me and Claire,
yeah.
I would call us friends, but like that was just like my first interaction with her. It was really funny. I I just love it. But yeah, people do not routinely ask for feedback on their play. And honestly, you should. I've gotten a lot of I mean, obviously, like, Claire there just, like, kinda owned me, which was really funny, but I've gotten a lot of very good, legitimate, advice and feedback and stuff from doing that with people.
You can absolutely, but like you have to be like potentially okay with people providing that harsh feedback, which it sounds like
Oh,
you are.
absolutely. Oh, totally, totally,
Or
totally.
or you're a masochist when you're like, please be brutally honest. I deserve this punishment after losing or what. But
No.
you ask someone for advice, people are going to temper it differently depending on who they are and how used to actually like giving feedback and advice they are and whatnot. Some people are very good at like bedside manner, other folks not so much,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So if you're just like, hey, yeah, just tell me where I messed up, and they're like, happy to. Here's a laundry list of things, and you are terrible or whatever.
I
If you're okay with that and can learn from it, great.
You do have to be okay with it. I am okay with it. I'm not a masochist. I am just like, if I am doing something wrong, I'm going to eventually at some point in my magic journey have to come face to face with that. So it doesn't matter a lot to me if I do that on my own over the course of years or if you just like say it to my face right now. The closest I've ever come to that being a problem is there was a time where I had a limited coach who was incredible at limited and like as a coach really, but bedside manner, none of their stats were in bedside manner. All of their stats were in everything else. And so like there'd be a lot of times where we're just looking at over like drafts that I did and they're just like, yeah, so this is a train wreck, this is a dog shit pick, this is awful. And like I just had to be like, "Ooh, okay, it's fine, it's fine. Like don't cry." Like it's
And they're
okay.
just like, is Nile even learning anything? Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
what?
yeah. But it's like I just like had to really work to be like get over the language they're using and like absorb the like knowledge they're imparting. Like and absorb the wisdom they're imparting. Which I think I did, but it was like of all of these the hardest one to not like take to
I
heart,
mean,
you know?
you certainly could hit them back with the like, if your job is coaching, you should probably work on being an effective communicator. And
Yeah.
like the way you critiqued that draft was dog shit. And
This was a train wreck. I just stopped getting coaching from them. Your way would have been better because I would have continued getting limiting coaching and been a better limited player today.
eh,
But my way avoided confrontation, which I'm
yeah,
generally fine with confrontation, but I would honestly rather it be like in person. And so when it's a thing where I have to like confront you digitally, that really annoys me because then we have to do the thing where like I confront you and then I have to wait
yeah,
for you to reply. And that entire time that I'm waiting is going to make me anxious.
yeah. I thought we were supposed to yell at people on the internet, though. Isn't that the point?
We're supposed to yell at them?
It's humanity in general.
Oh, human. I thought you meant like because of our podcast. And I was like, I didn't think that was the point, but
Oh no, not even aside from this. We do kind of do that, which I guess we're
I like
following along with God's plan. But
oh, the first shirts we make have to be like the Nile Gerry Tea Podcast following God's plan.
yeah,
The
I
Nile
would
Gerry Tea
rock that.
Podcast, God's plan.
I don't wear my own merch. I would wear that.
Oh, huge. Nile Gerry Tea, God's plan. That goes.
Devout followers of God's plan.
Devout followers of God's plan. Hey, hit that like button down below if you're a devout follower of God's plan. But yeah,
Have you ever Googled me? Because other than me, the next person is Jerry Thompson, name spelled the same way, that is a black preacher with a cowboy hat that has like random albums, like music albums.
Yo, I'm sorry, Jerry. That dude sounds like the way cooler Jerry. That
Yeah.
dude sounds sick as fuck.
No, for real, when I was coming up, I was like, this is what I must surpass. Like this is, I have to be at least more popular than this guy. And then I got there, and then I always wondered if he was mad at me.
Oh, he hates you. You kidding me?
So I bought some cards from a buddy of mine recently, and he kept asking, like, hey, did you get them? Did you get them? And I was like, I don't know, man. I didn't check the mail. I don't care. I'm not in a rush, And then I opened the envelope, and they're wrapped in this sheet of paper, and I unwrapped the sheet of paper, and it's just a printout of that guy. And at the bottom, he said, enjoy the cards. My mom loves this guy, lol. And I just immediately messaged him. I was like, this is the most insane packaging I've ever gotten before. And basically told him the same thing. Like, I was wondering if that guy hated me or whatever. And he was like, oh, no, that guy sucks. Don't worry about it. All right.
Well, that guy hates you for sure. I promise.
Justified. That's fine.
That's sick. That's sick as fuck. I love it. But to put a little bow on all of this, I feel like the shufflers, the last ditch effort, sideboard swappers, and even to some extent the people who are upset about people paying for sideboards or whatever, they're all in a kind of similar camp. They're all in a kind of similar vein to me of what they are, how they are approaching this game. And you can approach this game however you want, but you should always endeavor to be honest with yourself about how you're approaching it. This
Yeah.
is something we talked about a lot with Lou when we did the Hammer Delusion episode, which is like episode 2. You should check that out, by the way, if you haven't listened to it. It was a really good one. But
It's going to be tough to top.
it is gonna be tough to top, but maybe it was episode 3, oh, whatever. It was in like the first 4 episodes. You'll find it. But it's very important to approach this game in a way that's honest, and it doesn't have to be the same way as anybody else. It's fine if the way you're approaching it is, I have little rituals that make me feel good, and I like to do those, and then I like to play my game with the deck that makes me feel good with my friends who make me feel good. And if I don't do well, that's fine. Like, it doesn't always have to be, I'm gonna make the Pro Tour, I'm gonna make Worlds, I'm gonna do it. Like, it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, you just got to get more popular on the internet than the other person that shares your name.
Unless you want it to be pile shuffling, then go fuck yourself. You're wrong. The way you approach the game is wrong.
You can pile shuffle if you want, but don't try and justify it to me.
You don't justify it. Like, just do it. If your justification is anything besides, like, I want to, then it's wrong. Well, whatever. You can do, like, I do it to count. Okay, whatever. Like, you can count.
I mean, there are faster ways to count, but yeah, whatever.
There are faster ways to count. Just say you want to. Just say you like it. Just whatever. Like, you know how many times someone's like, why do you do this thing? And I say, I don't know. I like to. And it's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I guess that is enough. I guess that is enough of a reason. Now that I think about it. I guess when you say it like that, yeah, you can just like to do a thing. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I do just like to do it.
That is allowed. It's like, if I have a thought, I have to post it or whatever. It's like, well, that's not how I operate. That's how some people operate. It's just like, I gotta get the demons out, if I had the thought. And maybe that's what pile shuffling is to people. And it's just like, that's okay. It doesn't make any sense to me, but
it is so fucking rude that you chose to end this episode on pile shufflers, and people who post a lot are the same. To me, your co-host,
they're not the same because you're self-aware.
Poster,
you're self-aware.
That's true.
Big diff.
That's my curse. I wish I was less self-aware.
Skill diff, if you will.
Yeah, skill diff. But yeah, that's all that on that. Now we've got a couple of questions, and I want to say a big thank you to everyone giving us a listen, because we got mad questions this week. So thanks for those. We have so many questions that we can only really get to a couple of them. We're gonna have extras for later. We'll get to them, don't worry. But this week, first of all, of course, we're gonna get to Briar's question, because Briar sends us a question every week, and we love that and never want it to stop. But then we're gonna have another one as well. But let's go ahead and start with the Briar. I have to scroll all the way back because I am in like a 2022 Discord DM with Claire, and I have to scroll all the way to go. So where did I put? Here's the Briar question. Okay, here's Briar's question of the week. They say, with Stormscale Dragon being in Tarkir Dragonstorm and Flashback getting a spiritual successor in Harmonize, what are some mechanics or keywords you think would be a healthy addition to Standard, either as is or with a new twist? And alternatively, what are some keywords that shouldn't have been brought into Standard? Parentheses, Storm scares me, LMAO. Now, Jerry did hella homework for this.
Okay. Well, first I have to apologize because I said I was going to have the Briar the Goat sign, and I am ill prepared this week. But I'm also not at home, as you can probably tell. But I did do some homework. I took
To
some
our
notes.
audio listeners, Jerry just held up a notes app screen with a ridiculous amount of notes for the question.
Yeah, I'm a visual person, basically. Like, you can be like, what's your favorite Magic mechanic? And then I'm just like, I can't name any mechanics.
Yeah, I've never seen a Magic card in my life. What do you mean?
Yeah, so I had to physically go and look at all of the mechanics, and then now I have a reasonable answer. So the thing that I like about mechanics in Standard, at least historically in Magic, has been when there were blocks. So like 3-set blocks, and you could like introduce a mechanic and then like slowly, change it or adapt it in the second set. And then by the third set, it is maybe what they envisioned as being like the final piece, like the actual mechanic to be, and it being like fully formed and fleshed out and being played with in all these different ways and all these different synergies and stuff. And I really like getting to that point. And I feel like we can't really do that anymore when there are no blocks. We're just going set to set, introducing new mechanics instead of doing interesting takes on like the previous mechanic that they introduced, which I also feel like is just good for players in general, instead of going from like brand new thing to brand new thing. It's like, okay, this is new, but kind of old, So current sets, stuff like Harmonize, it's like, yeah, that's simple. That's fine. They have to do a lot of that because they are jumping from like brand new thing to brand new thing a lot. And I think that kind of just detracts from exploring that cool space that they used to. And it makes me sad. But yeah, basically because there are no blocks, it's really difficult to do parasitic mechanics. Like we had the toxic deck in Standard, and it was pushed enough to be a viable deck at various points, but that also kind of made the limited format pretty horrible because that stuff had to be pushed because they wanted it to be in Standard, presumably, or just mistakes were made. I don't know. But yeah, you can't really do that unless you have a plan to pay that off somehow over the course of 3 years. Like if we're going to do Toxic once, but like, are we going to go back to like a poison set in 2 years? Probably not. So
almost certainly.
I don't know. These cards just exist on an island. And I think that is also very sad. So overall, the things that I notice is that generally I am a fan of scalers and good incentives, reusability, flexibility. Those are the things that I like. And scaling to me would just be like a mechanic like Affinity is, well, if you have no artifacts, Mirror Enforcer costs 7. If you have 7 artifacts, it costs 0. And that to me is not entirely satisfying. I'd rather it be like a reasonably costed creature, let's say like a 3-mana 4/4, and then scales up in ability for how many artifacts you have. So it's not like, oh, just hit this threshold and you're good. Yeah, and then it just ends. Like
it's like if you have 100, it's still cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like cranial plating where, okay, well now my thing is 15 power and that's just silly. Right? But like you can find smaller rewards for stuff like that. And I think that those sort of things are fun. I like any sort of like flashback or kicker type of thing. And I was thinking about something like Evoke that is not abusable. Something where it's like, well, I don't have enough for this expensive thing, but I can play the cheaper version now. And then I eventually just invented kicker, but like everything is kicker, So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm a simple person.
we had that a little bit in Brothers War, right? With the prototype creatures, where like
Yeah,
they're a big
those are
artifact boy, but you can play like the shitty version for cheaper. It kind of gets
yeah.
there.
It does. I guess those cards were all just like kind of bad, and then they were sort of abusable because you could reanimate them or flicker them or whatever. Yeah.
But it's like not enough of a payoff most of the time. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean,
in last thing, in terms of creating incentives, things like battalion, it's like if you attack with exactly 3 creatures or 3 or more creatures, do an ability. I think that is cool, but playing that format was like, well, I can attack with 2 creatures pretty profitably, and I can attack with my third one, but I'm just sending it to its death. And that is not great. So just like having that sort of thing where it rewards you for attacking with as many things as possible, I think are good incentives for like moving the game forward and actually getting it to a conclusion, but doesn't lock you into just like has to be 3 or else.
yeah, no, I think those are really good, well thought out, well researched responses. And when we were talking before we started recording about which questions to use, we were like, well, obviously we got to do Briar's. Jerry showed me his notes app preparation of Briar's question, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna let you answer Briar's question this week, and I'm not gonna even try to tackle it because I think it's like it's maybe like insulting for me to like follow up your answer, uh, not having that like as much research into it. So
Give me like a quick hit because you do like game designery stuff, you know, like
yeah, I
what do you
like
like?
there's a couple things I like a lot. I like aspirational things, like a thing on a card that makes you be like, "Ooh, I could do that. I could make that happen, and that would be really cool." Even if it is like, it puts you on like a little quest, kind of like what you're talking about with these scalers, of being like,
Do a quest and it allows you to pile shuffle your deck next game. Just like
oh, the quest is pile shuffling. I like stuff like that. So I like the kind of like the scalar thing with the artifacts you're talking about, where it's like, oh, I could get like 3 artifacts and this is cool, or I could get like 10 artifacts and this is really cool. And like I could do that if I do this, this, and that. And like gets the gears turning. I think that is both exciting and cool, especially for new players. I think for new players in particular, aspirational cards are exciting.
yeah,
And that is very important to me. Now, the other thing that I think is really cool is any card that makes a sub game in Magic. And I don't care how big of a sub game it is. I just like little games. And so like the most obvious example of this, like the most extreme example of this is like Shahrazad, right? Where it's like literally play a sub
it's,
game,
it says sub game on the card. Yeah.
Yes, like it is very literally stop playing this game, play a new little game, and then that has effects. But I also think a card like Gamble, which is one of my favorite cards of all time, makes a sub game
I love
where
gamble.
I fucking love Gamble. If you're unaware of Gamble, it is a 1 red mana sorcery. Go grab any card from your deck, put it into your hand, but then discard a card at random, which means when me and Jerry are playing and I cast Gamble, I go put a card in my hand and then I shuffle up and I let Jerry pick a card. And that is thrilling. It's so much fun. It's just fucking fun. Have you ever cast a gamble where you end up with just 2 cards and you give them
Oh
the
yeah.
50? Oh, it's so good, dude. You get to get in
I'm
their
pretty
heads.
sure I can find you a match of me on camera playing Legacy where I gamble I think for a Primeval Titan.
Oh, baby.
And I because it is so fun, I honestly don't even remember if I hit or not. I think I might have discarded it or whatever, but it's like it's
Yeah.
still fun as hell.
It's
What
so
if I kept
good.
it?
What if you kept it? It's so that gamble could be anything,
It
even if
could like, and I could have gotten a life from the loan where it's like, oh, if I
oh
discard it,
yeah,
who
oh it's
cares?
good
You know,
either
but that's
way.
not
Nah,
fun.
fuck off,
What if
dude.
I
You
get the
can hit if
top?
you hit.
Yeah. And then
Oh,
like they
dude.
feel bad. It's their fault. I let them pick.
I love when I'm doing that to like lay them down and be like, it's the left one. I love to
Oh.
get in their head. I don't know.
Oh my
I
god.
don't know.
Okay.
But I saw it's the left one. Am I
I need
lying?
to incorporate this. I need to
Am I
incorporate
telling you?
this.
It's so fun, Jerry. It's so fun.
Have I
We
talked to
need
you
to
about Burning Inquiry?
no. Tell me, please.
I played an RCQ with Hollow One when the One Ring was legal and
That's
Phaseless Looting was not yet unbanned. It was not
that's
a good
crazy.
idea.
Yeah, that's insane.
But I learned a lot about my opponents that week because I cast Burning Inquiry. If you were to cast Burning Inquiry, how would you resolve it?
Well, hold on.
The card for the record is
Burning
R Sorcery,
Inquiry.
same as Gamble, in fact.
Oh
Both
yeah.
players draw 3, then discard 3 at random.
Oh baby, what a card!
So now you're forcing them to opt into the subgame,
Oh, I
right?
love it.
So if you're resolving this for yourself, how would you resolve it?
What do you mean how? Oh, like who goes
Like,
first?
well, the main question is, do you look at the cards?
Oh, oh, Jerry, what a fun question. Hold on, hold on. I have to think. I have to think. No, I would never look. I would
I
never
never
look.
look. I
I
never
would
look
never. That's so much fun.
because then they take 3 cards, you pick up this new hand. It could be anything.
It could be
right. But if you look at the cards first, you know what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
You're thinking like, oh, I hope they don't discard my hollow ones or whatever.
Yeah.
What if you don't know what 3 got added to your hand, and then you're picking up this new hand? You don't know if there could be hollow ones in it or not.
Oh,
It's
that's
way more
good.
fun.
That's so fucking fun. I want to build like a Gamble Burning Inquiry cube.
I love it.
Where it's like everyone drafts one pack at the beginning that has win conditions, and then you are forced to put that in a deck of like 40 Burning Inquiries.
Yeah, it's just chaos. So one of my opponents, I cast Burning Inquiry, and he's drawn the cards, just like he's casting a Brainstorm or whatever, like to his hand. And then he's like, oh, okay, shuffle, whatever. I'm just like, why'd you look?
Why would you look?
He's like, I just want to know. And so the next time I cast one, I was like, hey, do me a favor. Let's try not looking this time. And he's like, oh, okay. So we did that, resolved it. He picks up his new hand. He's like, oh, okay, I got this, you know?
Well, there's just no point in looking. It could go away.
I was like, wasn't that way more fun? He's like, yeah. So I cast it a third time. And he looks again. I was like, hey, what are you doing?
Bro,
I thought it was more fun the other way. And he's like, yeah, but I'm just going to do it this way. Like, dude, live a little.
No, Jerry, I would love for us to play a match of Magic. I think we've literally never done, by the way.
No, we've sat next to each other.
We've played on the same
team. We played a team event together.
For sure. But we've never actually played Magic against each other, which is hilarious. But I would love to play a match of Magic and resolve a Burning Inquiry together and just like fucking just you and me, just like locked eye contact, draw 3, shuffle them up. These three, flip them. That's fun. That's
and then all we would do is be like, oh, this was so sick because look at my hand. Yeah. Or like this got discarded and I really wanted this. And if I didn't discard this, it would have been so much fun. And then like you show me your hand and tell me about like the different ways things could have happened. And then we're like, that was great. Let's go next. Like, why even finish this?
The chaos of us doing this like on coverage at some event where we are just, and then commenters having to be like, for some reason, there must be some discrepancy. They're showing each other their hands, and they both look really excited.
Yeah, they're both so happy. Who won? Who knows? I would normally try and tell by facial expressions, but they're both just happy to be here. I don't understand.
They tied? Did they tie? But yeah, so Briar, to answer your question, I don't know. I mean, there's not like a mechanic. There's not like a sub-game mechanic. But like, I just would want cards in Standard that make that kind of vibe, you know? Like, I love when someone plays any of the, what's it called? Is it Fact or Fiction type things? Where it's like, put them into 2 piles, you pick a pile. Oh, man. Oh, man. I'm so easy to trick on the Fact or Fiction piles. I'm really easy to deceive. I love it, though. I love it. It's so much fun. So I would want... I just like playing silly little games. The best card they ever released in a Marvel Snap was that Iron Patriot card.
That was the one. When you were talking about playing some games, that was immediately what I thought of.
I loved that card. I don't play Marvel Snap anymore because I got into the tier where I play against people who have had the cards the whole time. And now
assholes.
Yeah, now I just get beat and there's nothing I can do about it. You know, like, unless I want to just like get bodied for it. Whatever. We'll talk about Marvel stuff.
Not true. You could spend tens of thousands of dollars.
Could I even? Because like isn't there like limited ways to even like buy the cards in Marvel Snap?
2 days ago, they just released booster packs.
Oh, yippee. I guess I could spend tens of thousands of dollars. Thanks, Jerry.
Now you
Uh,
could.
yeah, great. But Briar, I hope that answers your question. Thank you again for asking it. We always appreciate it. Never
Briar the
stop.
goat.
Briar the goat. Now, the next one we have is from a new question submitter. They said, hello, Nile and Jerry, 8-time listener, first time querier here. I was at a modern F&M recently with a bunch of friends who I've known for a while, but only hang out with through the context of Magic. I was playing with my one friend who is a bit less experienced at the game than I am, but who has made it clear that he is trying to take active steps to get better. In our match, I made an attack, which I knew was bad if he blocked correctly, but I didn't think he would find the line, and he didn't, which put me in an incredibly favorable position and significantly contributed to me winning the game and the match. Afterwards, I felt really shitty that I had kind of disrespected him in that way over about half a prize pack of equity. When, if ever, is it appropriate to make plays that your opponent could easily blow out or are even just conditionally suboptimal when you don't think they will find the line to be able to punish you? Also, should I approach him about this? I don't want to risk hurting his confidence in his capabilities as a player, especially when I've seen him make some massive improvements over the past few months. Thanks for taking the time to read this. Appreciate what you do. All that stuff. Best wishes. Maybe a bad guy is how they signed it. I am not calling them a bad guy. Um,
This is such a sick question.
it's a really good one.
There are so many moving parts. I think I have a dog that's trying to get in here.
Oh,
Should I
who
let the
let the
dog in?
dogs? Who let the dogs in?
Oh, Remy is so crazy though. I don't know if I
Oh,
can.
maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should after we finished. After we hit the stop button.
Remy, I'll be there soon, I promise. So this is a very high level play, whether this person realizes it or not. Like identifying what skill level your opponent is on, attacking in such a way where you have the read, like you know exactly like what they are able to see and not see, and then like you have the fortitude to go through with it as well, and it all goes down how you expect, and you win the match because of it. Like this is a thing that happens like late into a pro tour kind of thing, you know, like,
Hmm.
and then you're talking about playing for half a prize pack of equity, which is just like, and talking about how like, oh, you know, they're kind of new, I'm kind of new or whatever. It's just like, what is happening? I don't, I do think it's kind of disrespectful, but like, it's also truthful, it seems like,
Yeah.
because you did have the read, and the person is trying to get better, which means that there is some understanding and acceptance on their part in terms of like, hey, I have a lot to learn, right? And I do think that maybe this is the type of person where if you approach them and like, oh, hey, you know, just so you know, like if you blocked in this way, it would have, you know, eliminated my outs or whatever, blah blah blah, and that'll probably go well for you, or at least approach it with like, hey, I know that you are actively looking to improve and whatnot, and a thing happened in our match that I think might be helpful. You know, overall, it is just a very wild email to me, but I do not think you are a bad person at all. And even now, you're like thinking about like, oh, was this a mean thing? And should I tell them about it? Like, would it be mean if I tell them about it? Like the fact that you're thinking about these things means that no, you are not a bad person. You're, I cannot imagine based on this email that you are the type of person who would ever do anything maliciously, I guess, you know?
Well, I think you can't listen to all 8 episodes of the Nile and Jerry Tea podcast and be a bad person. That's
Oh,
where
I wasn't going to go
that's
that
where
far.
that's where well, Jerry, come on.
We both
But
got haters, let's be real.
that's true. We do. I am actually 100% positive we have haters who listen to the podcast because I've seen them do it. Oh my god, the dog. Who let the dogs in?
Remy,
Visual
say hi.
watchers are getting a
Hi.
treat. This is a
Hi, Remy.
gorgeous
Come
dog.
on.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you were right. This was the right call to let Remy in. Remy's not
Hi, Remy.
crazy. That was crazy of you to say. So here's my opinion about maybe bad guys email. I I don't think doing the thing is disrespectful. I think doing the thing, like you said, is like a high skill thing that you can and should do. I would go so far as to say it's important not to baby your new player friends. Like, I don't think you should use kid gloves on them. I think you should, like, especially if it's the kind of person who wants to get good at magic and is like trying to improve at magic. Like with my casual friends, the way that I'll put on kid gloves is like I'll play commander with them, and I specifically build my commander decks to not be very good, you know? So like I those are like the sandbags I put on myself. But when I'm playing it, I play like a killer. Like I play to win. I just play to win with like worse tools than they have.
Yeah, you're not going to throw it or
Yeah, I'm not
anything.
gonna throw it. The most throwing I do is in deck selection. Yeah, I think doing the thing is good. I think you can't have kid gloves with your new player friends, but I think you need to like immediately tell them that you did this. Like I think, and this does get into a little bit of touchy territory because like you don't want to be offensive or whatever. But the way I would approach it is I would ask them. I would pose it like a question. So maybe just be like, "Hey, in those last few turns, I made this attack, and I was just wondering, like, why you chose not to block, or why you chose to block this way, or whatever. Like, what was your thinking there? Because it could just be a thing that they didn't really have a thought to it, or it could be a thing that they had a thought process, but they didn't know. But this kind of gets them thinking. And if it's the more likely thing of they didn't really have a thought process, they're just like, "Oh, this guy makes sense to block." And they'll be like, yeah, I didn't really think about it. I just thought like this made the most sense." And you could be like, "Oh, okay, well, I think that actually like helped me get the win because like you blocked here, then I was able to do this, but if you had blocked this way, which maybe like seemed a little stranger, you actually would have like dumpstered me for sure. So I would not pose it as like, "Hey, did you know that you fucked up back there and I thought you were going to fuck up and took advantage of that?" But if you get them to start thinking in those sorts of terms, like that's the really important thing I think about teaching people magic. And this is the thing that I think a lot of people fail at, and why so many people are really bad at teaching people magic is when a lot of people approach teaching magic, they just they're just like, "Let me take the information from my skull and put
Yeah.
it into yours. Let me just tell you all the answers to the homework." And you have to get them to like solve the homework on their own. And you have to know how to ask the questions that are on the homework. And that's how you get them thinking. Like one of my best friend Pilnock, who I talked about earlier with the Snorlax socks, I often consider her like my star pupil protege of like new players that I've taught magic, because I've taught her like the longest and closest. And so she is like the real, like, my prime example of like, you are a person that I like taught from the ground up. Like, you didn't really know anything about magic. I taught you basically everything aside from the stuff you just started to pick up on your own. But like, I really got you to where you are today. And so anytime she like does a thing that's like, "Oh, I know I taught you that," I'm like, "Hell yeah, like you're doing exactly what I did." And there was one moment kind of early in her magic teaching that was really cool for me, where I had effectively been teaching her the like, "who's the beatdown" idea. But the language I used for her specifically was, I had said to her, "We are either at any given moment, we are in the business of making problems or solving problems. And that's what we like always have to be assessing." And so she was at the time playing this like Azorius Soldiers deck, this like really aggressive deck in standard. And she loved it. It was just like sometimes you play Harbin and you attack with like 5 soldiers and you win the game. It was a really cool deck. She loved it a lot. And there'd be a lot of times where someone would make an attack and she'd be like, "Well, I can block and trade with this guy." And I'd be like, "Are we making problems or solving problems right now?" And she'd look at the board and she'd be like, "Well, they have one guy, we have two guys. I guess we're making problems." And I'd be like, "Yes." And like our deck's whole thing is get to having X amount of creatures, play Harbin, win. So our guy is actually pretty important. Our life total is not that important because we want to win well before our life total hits zero. And so I taught her this concept, and like a month or two later, I saw this like tweet of hers where she was like, she was talking about like playing a game of Magic on Arena and sitting there in like this bored state and being like, am I in the business of making problems or solving problems right now? And then she like talked about how she like walked through it in her head and she came to the right conclusion. And I was like, fuck yeah. Like you not only like retained the stuff that I gave you, you
Yep.
also like knew the questions to ask, and like asking the questions made you have the right thoughts, led you down the right path, and got you to the answer, which is only possible
True.
because you took all those steps. If way back then I had just been like, no, don't block, we want our creatures, you wouldn't have had that moment like 2 months later. And that's like where people fuck up. And so like I think do make the disrespectful attack on your friend, but also do kind of walk him through, why, or I mean, make sure he wants the information, but it sounds like he probably does. And then like, explain it to him, help him improve.
Yeah, I think that your approach is very, very good in that rather than, being worried about being disrespectful or more disrespectful, you are looking for a way to try and have them come up with the answer on their own. And I think that
Mhm.
that just like takes you out of it. Like you are just the facilitator
Right.
in this whole process. You are not being like this thing that you did was bad
Mhm.
or whatever. And yeah, like Niall pointed out, whatever thought process you had that you knew that your opponent did not have, this could be enlightening to them and could help them further down the line.
Yeah. And like as you establish that kind of rapport, with me and my friend Pilnock, anytime we play afterwards, she'll just like I'll look at her and she'll look at me and she'll be like, "All right, tell me what I could have done better." And I'll be like, "Okay." Like here's like the little things. And every time they become like more and more marginal, which is really cool. She'll be like, "Tell me what I could have done better." And I'm like, "All right, well there was just like this one turn where you did this in this sequence and you could have done it a little differently and you would have got a little bit of advantage, but you won anyway." So, like you didn't need it, but it is just like a thing you should look out for in the future. And she'd be like, "All right, yeah, that makes sense. I get it." Or sometimes she'll like hit me with a question, but like we've established that sort of like thing. And so now she knows if she knows that the well of knowledge is there. And if she ever wants a drink of it,
Yeah.
she can have it. But like she has to kind of come to it. And there'll be
Yeah.
some times where she'll play a game and she'll be like, I know I did some stuff wrong. I don't care. And I'm like, that's fine. I'm not gonna make you drink from the well. Like I do a thing from with a lot of my friends that I'm teaching. I call it Yami Yugiing, where I'll just like sit behind them for a game of like Commander or whatever and just like help guide them through it. Much like Yugi's Egyptian pharaoh Yami Yugi.
Mm.
And I try really hard to only Yami Yugi people who want it and enjoy it and appreciate it. And I had a thing recently where a friend was like about to play on some arena and I was like hanging out with them and they're getting ready to play and I was like, "Oh cool, I'll watch you play." And they were like, "Oh, are you going to Yami Yugi me?" And I was like, "Do you want to
Yeah.
be Yami Yugi?" And they were like, "Not really." And I was like, "Okay." I was just gonna watch, Like I just like watching people play Magic. Like if you want to be Yami, I'll
Mm.
definitely Yami Yugi you, but like I didn't think that was the vibe. And it wasn't. And like I don't know, you can just have those conversations. You can just very clearly be like, do you want to be helped, taught, educated, whatever right now? And sometimes they don't, and sometimes they do. And when they do, that's when you gotta
Sometimes people tell me that they do, and then I do, and then it turns out they didn't want it, and I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah, that does happen. That does happen. It is always a little awkward, but I don't know. For me, when that happens, when someone's like, "Yes, teach me," and then I teach them, and it's very obvious that like, "Oh, you didn't actually like,
They
you
just say
didn't really
no
want
the entire
this."
time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just like, I don't know. To me, it kind of like fuels me in a weird way because I'm like, I want to find the way to like get through to you.
Oh,
Like, I want to find the way to like make you understand.
I could introduce you to some people that would break you.
I don't think so, Jerry. I'm a stubborn bitch. But I hope that answers your question. I'm definitely not a bad guy. Thank you for sending it in. Again, we had a lot of questions this week. We appreciate all of them. We are going to get to all of them. There might come a time at some point in the future where we just do like a little Q&A episode and we dive on into that. So look forward to that. But for now, I think that's pretty much all we have. This maybe accidentally became our longest episode ever. Oopsies. Thank you for watching, listening, however you're consuming. We really appreciate it. We are going on 9 weeks now, I believe, of hitting this consistently every week. People have really liked it. We really appreciate that. We love hearing all the great things you have to say about it. We love doing it. We're going to keep doing it. Thanks for checking it out. We really appreciate you. Jerry, any parting thoughts?
Free labor is easy when people tell you they like the thing that you do.
So true. So true. Tell us you like the thing that you do. Tell us you like it. Tell us you like it. Tell us you like it right now in the comments, in the replies, in our DMs. Just tell us you like it. Tell us you like it. That's it. Bye. Love you. Tell us you like it.